my fellow comic book collectors, it's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and these are the hottest Golden Age comics for the week. And we're going to start out with number 10, which is Who's Next? Number 5 from Standard Publications from 1953. It's that girl in the red dress. She's just been strangled, so she's had a really bad day. Normally she's just in bondage or something, but this one she's kind of dead. So it's the Strangler. This is the only issue from the series, even though it's number 5. It's actually the only issue, last issue, first issue. It's the only issue. So it is just kind of but it's a cool cover. It's a nice Good Girl art cover. There was a 2.0 that sold on Heritage for $336. Now, this was a bit of a steal. Maybe the steal of the week even, because it, it's like slightly under what a 1.8 had sold for. There was no prior record for 2.0, so looking at the next closest grade, 1.8 had sold for $384, so actually $50 more, back in March of 2022. So, this was a pretty low price. Also, there was a 3.5 that sold back in July of this year for $1,100. So this is well below that what you would have expected it to sell for. Probably it should have been around that $500 to $600 range, but to sell for $336 was a pretty good steal. Just a cool comic for number 10. Number 9 is maybe a steal as well, but I'll get into it. It's Pep Comics number 3. This is the MLJ, which is later became Archie Publications, or Archie Comics. This is from 1940. It's early Pep. Early Peps are really hard to find, just incredibly hard to find. It has a picture of the Shield on the cover. The Shield is like a character from the early MLJs, and he's fighting against Nazis, which is really awesome. Nazi planes and Nazi boats, and I think he's dropping like the water, those not grenades, but mines that they used to put in the water. He's dropping them on the boats. So it's pretty cool. Just so much action happening on this cover. It's a Lou Fine cover. Irv Novak cover. And this was just a cool book, really early Pep. It was a 2.0 that sold on Heritage for $1,560. There's only 11 of these on the census in any grade, any label, so 11 blue labels. There was no previous record for this book, but a 2.5 sold for $3,360 in December of 2021. So this is half what the 2.5 had sold for. So maybe a steal of the week, but it's really hard to say because it's still a record for the grade. Just a really interesting one. These early Peps are really hard to find. I'm surprised that it didn't sell for more. I would have expected it to sell closer to what the 2.5 had sold for. But, there was actually a 1.5 that sold in June of 2022 for $975. So, this is higher than what the 1.5 had sold for, so it makes kind of sense. But that 2.5 sale, I would have thought would have made this one go for a bit more. I'm just actually a little bit surprised. So maybe a steal, maybe not a steal. I would consider it a steal because it's half of what the 2.5 sold for. But that's what it is. Okay, so still a new record. Number 8 on the list is Hit Comics number 7. This is from Quality Comics from 1941. It is a Lou Fine cover. This is the Lou Fine cover. I meant to say for the other one. So Lou Fine cover. It's also a skull cover. Just a really great skull cover. Big skull. Like the bigger the skull, sometimes commands a bit more money. But it's also kind of cool because you got this girl in the green dress kind of in bondage attached to the skull, basically. And the hero is fighting the bad guy on the in front of the skull. So just a really cool cover, classic skull cover. Um, it was a 1/8 that sold on Heritage for $1,800. Now this was a pretty massive sale, but it is again a new record. It's really hard to figure out the prices for this one. So when you're kind of in this situation where there's no prior records for the sale, or previous sales, I should say, it's sometimes what you do is use the point scale. And I'll give you an example for this one. There was a 4/5 that sold in June of 2023, and it sold for $7,200. So just a couple months ago, sold for $7,200, and that works out to $1,600 per point. Well, if you kind of do the math, 1-0 was 1 point, so you would expect it to have sold for around $1,600. So it's selling for $1,800 was a pretty strong sale. There was actually a 1/5 that sold back in 2016, which was quite a ways ago, and it sold for $308. So this was a pretty strong sale for the grade. And there's only 19 of these on the census, and 15 of those are Universal Blue Labels. So just a cool sale. It's actually a Gerber 7. It's quite a rare book. Or actually, it would be considered scarce. Okay, next one on the list is, this was an eBay sale for Mary Marvel #1. Mary Marvel #1 is the first titled book for Mary Marvel. And it's also the first appearance and origin of the character Georgina Sivana, which is the daughter of Captain Marvel's main nemesis, Dr. Sivana. And it's a Jack Binder cover from 1945 Fawcett book. This was a really high grade that had just a, buy it now offer on it, buy it now price on it of $2,000 for an 8/5 CGC copy. This is a pretty good sale because there was a previous record for this book set back in 2019 for $1,450. So it's up $500 from that previous sale. Generally, when you see a buy it now on eBay, it's generally, the general rule that I've noticed, especially for Golden Age, it's generally going to be a new record, because people, either are buying or selling the books that they bought at the previous record, and then they're just trying to make a few dollars on the sale. It's very rare that you see a buy it now where it's under what the previous record is. Sometimes happens, and if you're lucky, you can pick those up, but usually it's not the case. There's 103 of these on the census, and 89 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Okay, number 6 on the list is Power Comics #2. This is a Holyoke from 1944. It's a Maurice Del Burgo cover. It's Hitler and Hirioto. I'm messing up names today. Hirioto cover, and it's a Gerber 8. So really rare book. This is actually in the rare. So Gerber 7 is scarce. Gerber 8 is actually rare. This is actually an interesting one. It was considered so rare that if you look at the Gerber guide, the photo guide, instead of having the photo of the book, they just have a white space. And that happened within the Gerber guide for books where they knew that they existed, but they just couldn't find a photo of the comic. So just a really rare book. That's very unusual to see that white space. So definitely a rare book. Now, this one was a 2/5 that sold on Heritage for $2,400. Now, this is a big record for this book. The previous record was set back in 2019, in July of 2019, for $459. So it's like 5 times higher than its previous record. There was actually 2.0 that had sold, though, in July of 2023 for $960. So it's up significantly from its prior record, and it's up a lot compared to the 2.0 that had sold. Just a very strong sale for this book. There are 32 copies on the census, and 29 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 5 on the list is This Tomorrow? And it's just a Is This Tomorrow? There's no one, or it's just a non-numbered issue. Now, this was a giveaway book where they were trying to encourage people to move away from communism, or like a reject communism. And it was basically, showing what America would look like if communism came to America. And it's a really cool book. It's got the nice flame cover, and on the back of the book, though, it has the 10 Commandments of citizenship, and just a really cool one. There's actually 4 variants for this book. There's one where it says 10 cents, and then there's a large 10 cents where it's kind of bigger letters. Then there's a blank thing where there's just no price in it. And then there's one where that blank thing is not blank. It's just not even there. It's just no priced. The reason for those 2 with the variants where there's just no price is, as I said, it was a giveaway book. I'm not sure who paid 10 cents for it, but somebody did. Now, this one that came up for sale was one of the blank prices. And it was a 9.4 that came up for sale. So really high grade for this book. This is the highest grade, actually. It sold for $2,400. And there's actually 8 copies in this grade. The previous record for this book was set back in 2014, so quite a ways ago, for $812. So 2014, $812. It's gone up 3 times in that time period. There was a 9.2 that had sold a little bit more recently for $960 in October of 2022. And so this is a strong sale, even compared to the 9.2. Typically, from a 9.2 to a 9.4, you would expect the price to be about double. Well, this is a little bit more than double. You would have expected it to sell for maybe around just under the 2,000 mark, but to sell for 2,400, that's a strong sale. Okay, there are 121 of these on the census, and 117 are in the Universal Blue Label. Number 4 on the list is Strange Tales number 28. This is a Atlas or Marvel book from 1954. It's actually a really cool cover. You got this skeleton that's basically pulling a guy into his coffin, and there's a caption that says, "Come in my coffin." So it's just a crazy skeleton cover, a classic. They call it CGC notes it as a classic skull cover. And it's a Harry Anderson cover. This was a 3.5 that sold on eBay for $2,600. Now, the previous record for this book was set back in 2019 for $1,050.88. I'm not sure why the 88 cents, but it must have been an eBay sale. And just so this is double, actually more than double the prior record set back only 4 years ago. So just a really strong sale. Very cool cover. So that's probably why. There are 63 of these on the census, and 60 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 4 on the list is Feature Books number 39. This is from David McKay Publishing. It's from 1942. It's the Phantom on the cover. And it's very simple. Like a lot of these Phantom books were very, very simple art form and not many details. But it's a great cover with the Phantom and a sexy girl, a good looking girl, and there's like flames all around it. I like these ones with fire on it. I like flame covers. This was a 9.4 that sold on Heritage, and it sold for $4,560. So really big sale. This was actually this is not the highest grade for this book. So this is a 9.4. There was actually a 9.6 on the census. So this is the second highest grade, and there's 3 copies in this grade. The previous record for this book was set in August of 2019 for $4,080. So it's up a little bit over 2019. So not a huge increase for this book, but still a strong sale. There are 13 copies of this book on the census, and 13 of them are Universal Blue Labels. It's one of those books where only in the high grade people really bother to get it graded. A lot of these early Phantom books actually very inexpensive. You can pick up low grade copies pretty cheaply, but it is cool to see these high grade copies come up for sale. Number 2 on the list is Dell Comics, not Dell, Detective Comics number 168. This is a classic book from DC Comics from 1951. It is, the Red Hood, the origin of the Joker. So it's also considered the first appearance of the Red Hood, but the Red Hood, spoiler, like a spoiler from like 50 some odd from 80 years ago. It's not much of a spoiler, but the Red Hood, the first version of him, was actually the Joker. This is a Lou Sayer Schwartz cover, and just a really cool cover, like just iconic cover, like with a red hood on the cover. This was a 0.5 that sold, restored 0.5 at that, for $4,999.99. I'll just round it to 5,000, so it's just $5,000. This was a eBay sale. Buy it now. It's a C1, which means that it's amateur but very slight restoration. It had slight color touch on it. It was 0.5 because it's missing the centerfold. It actually is a pretty nice presenting copy. It's just that it's missing the centerfold, and that's why it got the 0.5 grade. Now, there have been previous sales to this book in like a whole bunch of different versions. So a 0.5 had sold in 2018 for $3,999, in a blue 0.5. And then there was a blue 1.0 that sold for $4,500 in 2020. So this sold for more than either of those copies. And there was a restored 0.5 that sold this year. I think it's the same copy, that sold in May of 2023 for $3,000. So this book is up $2,000 from its prior record, only set earlier this year. So this is a big sale for this book. I was actually surprised by how many copies of this book are on the census. There are 184 of these on the census, and 143 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So just a big sale for a classic book. Another eBay sale came for number 1, and it's Air Fighters Comics number 2. This is the key book, actually more important than Air Fighter Comics number 1. This is from Hillman from 1942. It's a Charles Biro cover, classic cover. This Japanese pilot getting shot basically as he's flying, and but it's the big thing for this book is it just has so many key first appearances in it. It has the first appearance of Airboy, has the first appearance of the Flying Dutchman, has the first appearance of Skywolf, has the first appearance of Black Angel. These are all classic characters from the Golden Age. And just a really cool book. This was actually a really high grade that came up for sale on eBay again. It was an 8.5, and it sold for, this was the interesting thing. They just put a buy it now price, but it was a really weird buy it now price. $8,600 and $643.98. Maybe some magic in that number. I don't know. It's a very odd number for a buy it now. There are no previous records for this book or even previous sales for this book, but this price was the highest of any grade for this book. There was actually a higher graded copies on the census. There's a 9.2 that has a record that was set back in 2003. So how relevant that that price is questionable. But it's back in 2003. It sold for $6,038 in a 9.2. There was a recent sale that happened this year in a 7.0 for $2,621. So this is a pretty strong sale considering it's 3 times the 7.0's price, which you wouldn't expect. You would expect it to be a little bit more, maybe double or that kind of level. But this was just a huge sale. I mean, it's like just a really big sale for a very cool, important book, actually. There are 48 copies of this on the census, and 44 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So that is the list for this week. I was doing this, I'm filming this, just so you know. So if I stumbled a lot, I apologize, because I'm filming this at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I've been up all day for a really long day. So I hope I didn't mess it up too much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.